The hideout in Escape from Tarkov is a big aspect of the game that a lot of players, both new and old, can overlook. The main reason for this is you will be spending a lot of money to get this thing to max level, and that leaves us with the question, is upgrading the hideout to max level worth it? Well, that can be a little complicated, so strap in and let me explain why. Before we get into the meat and potatoes of the hideout, there is something that I should mention first, and that is a big feature that is kind of pay to win for this game, which is having EOD. The Edge of Darkness edition of the game will automatically get you the maximum stash level, which is level 4. So upgrading your stash as an EOD player doesn't really apply to you. However, for those who play on a standard account, it is the opposite, and you can be investing quite a bit of money into getting this thing to max level. So if you don't have the standard edition, then let me just start out by saying it is absolutely worth it to level up your stash and have it maxed out. You can never have enough room for your gear and loot. So without a doubt, definitely upgrade your stash as a standard account. But since this is something that doesn't apply to a lot of EOD players, I won't go into much detail about that. Just know that it's absolutely worth it to max your stash if you need to upgrade it as a standard account. Now that that's out of the way, let's get back into why I think the majority of the hideout is worth it to upgrade. The hideout is a key feature in the game that allows you to do 3 major things: shoot and test your guns, craft different items, and gives you a boost to your skills and additional XP. The majority of the things in the hideout are worth it to upgrade because it allows you the ability to craft or get some pretty valuable items. But there are definitely some aspects of the hideout which really aren't worth upgrading for most players. So let's start by talking about the shooting range. Upgrading the shooting range to level 1 is great because it allows you to observe and fire your weapon before heading into a raid. This is absolutely worth it because having a feel for your gun before going into a raid can let you know how good a gun actually is. Sure, you can look at the number statistics of the gun, but for a lot of players, those numbers are really just numbers. You won't actually know how your gun performs until you fire it and get a feel for it yourself. So the shooting range can help with that. As far as upgrading it to level 2 and level 3, it really isn't worth it in my opinion unless you have the extra money laying around and you want to max your hideout. But for the majority of players, just being able to shoot your gun is good enough. The only benefits you get from leveling to level 2 and level 3 are that you can change the settings of targets and that they can move around so you can practice shooting moving targets instead of static ones. Also, level 3 will give you a slight boost in leveling your combat skill by 10%. But because I know that not everybody grinds through the game enough to level skills completely, I would say that this little extra boost really isn't worth the price if you have other hideout upgrades to do instead. I would suggest leaving this at level 1 until you get the rest of your hideout fully upgraded first. Speaking of the rest of the hideout, let's talk about what the majority of the hideout has to offer, which is being able to craft and obtain items. But before we get into that, this is just a reminder to hit that subscribe button and like the video if you're enjoying so far. We are almost at 500 subscribers and it would be really cool if we can hit 500 after uploading this video. Okay, now back to crafting items in the hideout. The med station, lavatory, workbench, nutrition unit, water collector, boost generator, Bitcoin farm, and even the scav case all allow you or grant you the ability to get items which give you the found in raid status. Because of this, I think that those hideout upgrades are 100% worth it to upgrade. No matter if you're a newbie or you're a veteran player, being able to craft quest items or items that can be sold on the flea market for a lot of money is a no-brainer. Yes, I know that it would take a lot of money up front to get these upgraded, but the investment is definitely worth it. You can easily get your money back later on by selling things you craft in the hideout, and being able to get items found in raid for a quest without actually having to go into a raid to search for it is totally worth it in terms of your sanity. Trust me, there's a lot that can be crafted for found in raid quest items, and the faster you upgrade your hideout, then the more you'll be able to benefit from this. So as soon as you can upgrade the areas I mentioned before to max level, do it.
Just do it!
I'm not going to be going through each and every single item you can craft because there's so many, but I will go over what I like to craft in order to make money later on. That way you can make your money back at least. So let's start with the med station. Unless you're far enough into the quest line to get the craft for the light axe, I would say that the med station really has 3 main options to craft that will make you money. That being the defibrillator, the mule stem, and the SJ6. Other than that, I really wouldn't worry about crafting anything else unless you just have the material laying around and you want to do it. But to make some money, I would definitely recommend doing the defib, the mule stem, and the SJ6. Moving down the line, the next thing that I want to talk about is the boost generator. The boost generator just does what it sounds like. It's only used to craft moonshine, which moonshine can make you a ton of money, especially later on in the wipe, and it's very easy to make your money back using this. All you need is 2 things of sugar and some super water, and you're good to go. The way that you get super water is from the water collector. The water collector is only used to make super water, and all you need to do is slap a water filter in there and it'll start working. But if you don't want to wait and save your super water to make your moonshine, you can always just sell the super water for about 150,000 rubles, and you can make your money back by doing that as well. Whatever you want to do to make your money back is perfectly fine, and it's up to you. Moving on to the nutrition unit, the only things I really would recommend crafting for this is whiskey, vodka, and beer. I know Tarkov's really making us sound like alcoholics here.
I think I'll do a wraparound.
But it's true. All the alcoholic beverages, such as whiskey, vodka, and beer, as well as moonshine, are really the only things that are worth making and selling on the Hideout. There are some other things that you can craft, like sugar and hot rods, that can do it for a good bit of money. But ideally, the main things that I focus on are the whiskey, vodka, and beer. But check around the prices and see what everything's worth and what you want to make and what you want to craft. Because just like the market in real life, the flea market fluctuates in prices. So one day sugar might be expensive and some days it might be super cheap. Continuing on, we have the Bitcoin farm. Now, the Bitcoin farm is pretty controversial because a lot of people want to know if it's really worth it to put the GPUs in to get the Bitcoins. My suggestion for you is to make the Bitcoin farm, and whenever you die in a raid, if you have a GPU, just keep it in your secure container. And if you die and don't have the found in raid status, then you can just slap it in your Bitcoin farm and it'll start producing Bitcoins. I think that the Bitcoin farm is really great for people that can't play every single day and that they can hop on maybe every once or twice a week. That way they can hop on, collect their Bitcoins, and have a little bit of money to work with. That way they can build a kit if they need to. As far as buying GPUs off the market and putting it in here, I would say it's probably really not worth it, just unless you have the extra money laying around and you want to completely max out your hideout. But like I said, the Bitcoin farm is absolutely worth it for those who can't play every single day and they need that little extra boost as soon as they log on, maybe every 2 or 3 days. The scav case is one of my favorite things to do in the hideout because it's just a gamble. You put some maybe moonshine in or intelligence folder and you have a chance of getting some really good items or really bad items. In terms of making money, you'll probably be about even throughout the wipe, but you do have a chance of getting some really good items or some items that you need for quests. So I think it's definitely worth it, especially if you love gambling. As far as the lavatory goes, the main things that I like to craft are magazine cases, filter absorbers, grenade cases, and water filters. There's a ton of different other items you can craft, especially if you need things for quest items like fabrics and things like that. But as far as making money goes, these are the main things that I try to focus on. What's great about crafting magazine cases and grenade cases is you can just use the fuel that you use in your generator, and as soon as it runs out of fuel and it is empty, you can use that to craft the magazine cases. So you're really getting the bang for your buck out of whatever fuel type you get. If you get the smaller blue fuel container, then you can craft magazine cases. If you get the bigger metal containers, then you can get grenade cases. Either way, they sell for a good bit on the flea market, and this is the best way to make your money back, especially if you're buying fuel when using your hideout. I highly recommend doing this if you want to make some money using your hideout. Now the water filter will definitely go for a lot of money later on in the wipe, but I also just crafted that way I can constantly keep making super water. And the filter absorber definitely goes for a good bit of money. I usually just slap that in my own air filtering unit. That way I can level up my skills faster. But if you already have your max skills, then you can definitely sell it and make a ton of money. As far as the workbench goes, there's a couple things I like to craft in here. But one thing that I should mention is that if you do want to get some good ammo in the game, you're going to need the workbench to do that. Basically all the good ammo that's in the game or high penetration ammo has been removed from traders, or they've been nerfed from traders and moved to the workbench. So if you want to get things like BP, M61, or 995, you're going to need a workbench and you're going to need to start crafting your own ammo. It's a lot more efficient than going in and trying to find it in raid or waiting to kill players and take their ammo. Trust me when I say this, it's definitely worth it to upgrade your workbench just because of the ammo. But there's some other things that you can craft, such as green gunpowder and thermite, which also go for a good bit of money on the flea market. I know what you're thinking. You forgot the intelligence center whenever you're talking about stations, which allow you to craft items. Well, I didn't actually forget it because I wanted to talk about this one separately. The intelligence center is really only worth upgrading past level 2 if you're a player who is going to be grinding through quests and try and get towards the end game content. In fact, unless you are lucky and you find a far forward GPS signal amplifier unit, then you won't be able to upgrade it anyways. A lot of the items that you used to be able to craft are now locked behind quests from Lightkeeper, which is not realistic for the majority of players. So with that being said, getting the Intel Center to level 2 will give you access to a little bit of crafting, a boost of money received by quests, and 15% less scav timer reduction. But other than that, I wouldn't be in too much of a hurry to get this to a higher level because a lot of players won't get the opportunity to make use of it anymore anyways. Okay, last but not least, The hideout upgrades, which allow you to get a boost in XP and skill leveling, are the air filtering unit, rest space, library, and of course, the new gym. In my opinion, most players should upgrade these if you have the extra cash or if you play this game on a regular basis. Leveling your skills is an important thing in a game because you get a slight edge over other players who don't have the same skill level as you. For example, Elite Strength lets you carry more things without being overweight, as well as jump higher and so on. So if you can level your skills faster, you should take the opportunity to do so. The air filtering unit and the gym are great for this. The air filtration unit gives you a 40% boost to your physical skills, which is a pretty insane increase. On top of that, if you get the gym, you can work out twice a day to level your strength and endurance without even having to run a raid. I think that this is great for a lot of players who can't play every day. If you can just hop on and do your workouts, which only takes around 10 minutes to do, then it can help you keep up with some of those other players who already have max strength and endurance. The library helps with the other skill group, practical skills. It gives you a 30% boost to your practical skills, but upgrading the library is huge for players who want to level up and get max traders, and even for those who are grinding to get Kappa or Lightkeeper. This is because it also gives you an additional 15% raid XP bonus, which is huge for leveling up. So the library is an absolute must. Whenever you're able to upgrade it, do it. As far as what the rest space has to offer, it is very minimal compared to what we have talked about so far, but I still think it's worth noting. Having a max rest base gives you an additional 10 extra energy reserves. If you've ever seen some of the streamers or YouTubers and they have 110 energy on their PMC instead of 100, that is because they have a maxed out rest base. This little bit of 10 extra energy might not seem like a big deal, but it might actually make the difference in you finding food in the middle of a raid or getting out of a raid without dying from starvation. But don't overlook its value. The last thing that I want to talk about is solar power. I know that having solar power sounds cool and you think it might save you money, but trust me, it's not worth getting for most players. In order to get solar power, you will need to be extremely far into the game, and it's going to cost you a ton of money to get it. I truly don't think that's worth getting just to reduce your fuel consumption. Just spend that little bit of money to get fuel to keep your hideout running and you will be okay. You don't need to have solar power just to reduce your fuel usage. It really is not that expensive to buy fuel compared to what you have to spend to get solar power. And as far as illumination, vent, security, and generator aspects of the hideout, they're really just stepping stones to unlock other hideout upgrades. They don't add or give you any value except allowing you to upgrade more hideout upgrades in the future, which is why we really didn't discuss them earlier in the video. But all in all, I would say it's definitely worth it to upgrade most of the hideout if you play this game on a pretty regular basis. The pros outweigh the cons for me, and I'm interested to see what you guys have to say in the comments. Do you agree with me? Do you think differently? Let me know. Also, don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe if you haven't already. We are making the push for 500 subscribers, and I would love for you all to join me as we continue to grow. But thank you again for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.